Welcome to Uncanny X-Minutes, where we bring you the comics behind the movies. I'm Stasia.
I'm Producer James.
And we're here to talk about X-Men, Days of Future Past, minutes 20 through 30.
Would you like to know what happens?
I sure would.
So we do get Bolivar Trask talking to the government, you know, a bunch of people at a desk about Sentinels and why they're important. Mystique infiltrates a military group that uses mutants. I almost called it a mutant military group, but I don't think that's a fair way to say it. And Wolverine shows up at the X-Mansion.
Okay.
So I want to talk about these mutant soldiers.
Yeah, me too.
So like this is the government has been using mutants in their army or in their armed forces. Like that's what we're shown in this bit. There's a mutant in particular that is interesting, and he is a bald-headed mutant not covered, but like smattered with tattoos. That is an actual character. His name is Ink.
Ooh.
He's part of the Young X-Men.
Oh, the often forgotten.
There's only 12 issues in 2008.
Yeah.
You know, and for the most part, I think they grabbed characters from previous runs of things, and Ink was one of the few like new guns.
Yeah.
Okay. In the movie, the one power we see him use is he puts his hand out and it's got like a biohazard symbol that like swirls and then people throw up.
Oh, okay.
100% from the comics.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So they actually pulled it.
So it's like one of the first things we see. His name is Eric Gitter.
Okay.
Yes. Young X-Men #1, first appearance. He gets tattooed and uses the power immediately. And so he gets arrested and Cyclops busts him out of jail and is like, we're getting the X-Men together. This is post Messiah War, Messiah Complex.
Okay.
Yes, Messiah Complex. When Hope went from the present as a baby into the future with Cable.
Got it.
That's where we're at.
Got it.
So he's like, we're post M Day. There's only 198 of us. We need all the mutants we can get.
Yeah.
So he has assembled a bunch of people that are some recognized faces and a couple new guys. Ink is one of the new ones. When the Young X-Men were sent to attack the new mutants, that all accumulates with it wasn't actually Cyclops recruiting any of them. It was Donald Pierce with an image inducer pretending to be Cyclops.
That makes sense as to why they only got a 12-issue run.
Well, he gets revealed in like issue 4 or 5.
Oh.
Like you find out early because Cyclops is being a little too militant. Like, yes,
sure.
we kill now. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, that
like,
should have been the red
kill
flag.
Them.
Yeah.
And I think reading it at the time, I didn't think anything of it. But reading it now, I'm like, that ain't right. That ain't right. This stinks a little. And that's why, because it's not Cyclops.
Yeah. I think that's also really hard. I think it's really clever when you are a writer and you're like, I want to write a character that is doing something out of character that will give hints, but maybe not necessarily give it away immediately.
I think that's what it felt like.
Yeah, but it's also really hard when you're doing it with comics because you have so much history of these characters that sometimes it's not always...
That, and sometimes when you start a new run.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a time to give somebody a little bit of a personality tweak.
Absolutely.
And this would have been a time to do it after Hope left. But, and you have the 198, you know what I mean?
And everybody's like on edge.
Yeah, but... It was just enough to be like, I think this stinks a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's kind of great that it did.
That's great.
Anyway.
I love that.
He realizes that when he gets tattooed, he gets powers based on like sort of the iconography of the tattoo.
That is very different than how most mutants work. That's very interesting because it's like he's born with the power, but the symbol that's put on his body is like affecting... That's crazy.
So he's got the biohazard symbol on his hand. His other hand, so that's on his left hand. That's on his right hand. His left hand has like stripes around it to look like Colossus.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's
to
like,
be strong.
To be strong. Throughout Young X-Men, he keeps going back to the same tattoo artist to get more stuff done.
Okay.
So like Dust, they've been tasked to go after basically the New Mutants, because this is during Sunspot's Lord Imperium
Oh, yes.
of the Hellfire Club
Okay.
era. So they're like, they need to be taken down. Magma, they attack, and Magma turns dust into glass. And they can't figure out how to, like, fix her.
Right.
So he goes back, and he's like, I need to get smarter. So they shave his head. He shaves his own head. And he's like, do something to make it smarter. And he's like, they pull up an old X-Men comic. Like, we're doing a She-Hulk thing right now. He gets little lightning bolts put on his temples. Like Professor X's little, it's how they showed his telepathy back in the Silver Age.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So he has some telepathy. He then gets wings tattooed on his back.
Okay.
So he can fly.
Okay.
And he gets like the snake and staff, like the healing, like a symbol for hospitals and stuff, on his other palm, so that he can heal people.
So biohazard and then healing.
Right. And the last thing he gets done is he gets the Phoenix tattoo over his one eye. It gives him temporary Phoenix powers, basically. But here's the thing. He's not a mutant.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was like, this doesn't actually track. Is the person who's tattooing him a mutant?
The person that's tattooing him
tracks.
is a mutant.
Yeah.
So basically, his tattoo artist's name, it doesn't really matter, but because he doesn't become a thing later either. He basically was tattooing a rose on a woman and was like, oh, she smells nice. And could you imagine if this rose made her smell like a rose? And he realized she did. She smelled like a rose. So he was testing on Eric if he did a thing, would it
give him powers? So there's like a tattoo on his arm, like on his bicep. We don't get exactly what it is. It's like sort of an explosive thing. And so then he kept experimenting on him, essentially, but telling him he's a mutant. Oh, he must be a mutant. Like, that must be why this is all happening. This is working.
So so when he got the Phoenix power, it turns out that Eric is pulling power from that mutant to power his powers.
Okay.
But at this point, they had like found out that he had done a bunch of gang members and gave them all powers too.
Okay.
So it was like this is the climax of that whole storyline.
That storyline. Okay.
So there was like, oh, he's a mutant for the first arc. Then we find out one of the new young X-Men is not a mutant. And so we're trying to figure out who that is. And it turns out to be Ink.
Yeah.
And so the tattoo artist goes into a coma. So he is still pulling power from him, but the guy's in a coma. Ink ends up trying to use it on Dust again and goes into a coma himself.
Okay.
But that's one of those things where like it happened and then he shows up like years later like nothing happened.
Okay.
Like they probably forgot about him or whatever. So it's weird.
Yeah.
They would use this character in the movie as a mutant, even though technically he's not.
He's not.
So
that is so clever. That's so clever. It makes me want to read that run, because that immediately when you were describing how his powers work, I was like, that doesn't track. Like, as everything I know about how mutants work, generally how, especially because you're talking about 2008, so this is not like super early where things were just very weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, that's really not how it would work. That doesn't really make a ton of sense. And then that's kind of the point. It isn't.
So the artist's name is Leon Nunez.
Okay.
And he does get out of the catatonic state eventually and gives him more ink. But that is how his stuff works.
Does he stay a part of the Young X-Men?
I mean, the Young X-Men's only 12 issues long.
I guess that's true.
And this was discovered at like 10.
Okay. So we're like, we're cooked.
Or early, like 8, 9, 10. Like, yeah. So it's not it's not a long running thing.
Right.
I remember reading his comics and I think seeing the movie then and being like, oh, cool, they used ink. Like, I knew of ink.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, whatever happened to him? Nothing. The answer's nothing. He
Turns
shows up
out-
in like X-Men Gold.
Okay.
And that's it.
And that's it.
And then he's in, according to, research, he's in Way of X, like, I think in the background.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Okay.
Because he's in Way of X number 2. That's
Okay.
it. So I'm guessing in the background, because, in the...
So then how did he end up on Krakoa?
Right? I think people forget.
That
I
he's
think
not
people
actually
don't,
a mutant.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like he's been put in the movies, so we're like, oh, he must be a mutant. He's not a mutant.
He's not.
Technically, he's not a mutant. He's allowed to still hang with the X-Men.
Not on Krakoa during that period, though. Yeah.
Because he's useful, like on the other teams and stuff. But like,
yeah, we let Carol Danvers hang out. Like that was a thing when she was binary, but she was not an X-Men though. That's like
he was an X-Men.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. I would love to do more research to see if we can find any more non-mutant X-Men. I do not imagine.
I mean, Mimic was.
I guess that's true.
But I don't know if Exile's Mimic was.
I'm not sure. I have to look.
But OG Mimic was not a mutant, and he was on the X-Men.
And was on the X-Men. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm sure we can figure some out.
We'll figure that out. I want to talk about that, but that's not what I brought today. They're going to say that for another time.
Yeah.
I
do want to say though that out of the soldiers, there's also a Toad.
Okay.
Like, he doesn't look like our Toad from the earlier quote later movies.
Right.
Later in the timeline.
Later. That's so funny.
Later in the timeline, earlier in our release order. It's because he ends up like using a tongue attack.
Oh, sure.
And then there is someone who looks like Spike or Quill.
Yeah.
In there as well, but we've already talked about him as well.
They like to put these people in the background.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about, what I'm talking about today is when mutants do become militant and they kind of run their own, I don't know, like pro-mutant, anti-human, but like much more violently than the X-Men.
Yeah.
Particularly what we're going to talk about today. There's actually more than one of these groups, but what we're going to talk about today is the Mutant Liberation Front. Have you heard of them?
I've heard of them. It's one of those things that it's definitely in the periphery of my knowledge, but I don't feel like I know a ton about the MLF.
Every time you ask me to bring something to the table, when you're just like, oh, bring something that you might like, I pick something, and then it always ends up being part of the New Mutants run. Every single time. I have to admit.
In all fairness, for me, it's always that mid-aughts to like current. That's always mine too, where it's like, oh yeah, let's talk about Ink and the Young X-Men. The what now?
It's like, would you like to talk about Claremont, and then would you like to talk about Cable? Because that is where we're going.
Because that is my wheelhouse.
Yes. So the Mutant Liberation Front was a group originally led by Strife, who we've talked about, who you all should know.
Cable's
clone. And
he's full of sharp metal.
Yes, he is. Well, that's his suit.
Yeah.
He's actually not. He does not have the metal pieces of his body like Cable does. Anyway, so the Mutant Liberation Front was referred to during this time. This is New Mutants 1983, number 86. Louise Simonson, Rob Liefeld. Classic. So they are a group of people that are literally called terrorists and perform terrorist attacks. They are a pro-mutant, anti-human team and like do things on purpose as like acts of revenge against like the government or other groups that like harm mutants. Interestingly, while most of the people who are in the Mutant Liberation Front are true believers, very frequently their leader is not really.
Yeah.
So Strife has a different agenda. So the Mutant Liberation Front's agenda is to kind of like pro-mutant supremacy. You get a lot. This is actually like they have a lot in line with like how Magneto's portrayed in a lot of the movies.
Yeah.
Like it's very similar, except they're run by Strife. But Strife kind of has like other stuff going on. He's got to kill Apocalypse. He's screwing over Sinister and planting legacy viruses.
Sure.
He's there to like go through his parent problems with Cyclops and Jean Grey and take it out on them.
Sure.
And to like kill Cable, right? So like, and frame him. He has ulterior motives and isn't always like the best leader of them, but he uses them as an ends to justify the means. And so the people who are in the MLF shift, and it's a large group, but in the beginning, it is Skids, Rusty Collins, Dragoness, Samurai, Sumo, Forearm, who's the guy with 4 arms, but it's spelled
yes.
F-O-R-E.
Yep.
Kamikaze, Wildside, Strobe, and Zero.
Okay.
So that is the team. I will say, at the end of this run, you find out that Rusty Collins and Skids were brainwashed.
Okay.
Because originally, so kind of the first act by the Mutant Liberation Front is to free them from captivity. They were taken in by Freedom Force, who is the group that we were just talking about, to the government because they didn't sign like the Mutant Registration Act. Like this is the part, like we're kind of doing that. And the MLF is breaking them out. Their hand is kind of forced. Basically, Skids gets injured in the escape while MLF is trying to break them out by like a guard, and Freedom Force and the government teams do not want them to get medical attention. Okay. And so that is why they like tried to like that's why they end up following MLF out, because like they don't want to die basically.
Sure.
And then they get brainwashed and then they end up being part of the team. But that's neither here nor there. But I will say that like it's a very interesting group because there's a lot of teams going around right now. Yeah. You have Freedom Force, you have the New Mutants, they're still running around. We haven't gotten to X-Force yet, but we're about to go into X-Force, so we're gonna have that team. We've got X Factor, you have X-Men running around. Like there's just like it was at a time, which I think is really interesting, that we don't really get in the movies. The movies are kind of, I don't know, there's just usually like the one good mutants, a couple of bad mutants, and then the evil humans or the good humans or whatever. This period of time, there was a lot more groups. People were like kind of shifting around, shifting allegiances. I think that this whole run, as we get into X-Force and then we get into Executioner's Song, which is the Strife Cable thing. Yeah. There are also multiple villains that are going on at the time with their own agenda. Like you have Sinister and Apocalypse and Strife all kind of meddling in each other's plans and trying to kill each other, and also like backstab each other and sending X-Men and different groups to like fight the other villain while they have a different scandal. It creates like this much more interesting, natural, more realistic world to me in a way. It's not like just very binary of like, this is the good mutant, this is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and these are X-Men, and that's the way it is. It's much messier.
I mean, it's getting to the point where X-Men is having its own half of the universe. They're starting to cut it out there, where they're just like, oh yeah, no, all these, we've introduced so many characters that we have to be on multiple teams. Otherwise, it's going to be like, I mean, if you had dwindled Krakoa down to a couple of teams, because like Krakoa was only X-Men, right? Technically, But then they're like, but then X-Force is happening over here, and Way of X is happening over here,
and Marauders,
Marauders is doing this, and but it like you don't want all your group on one island and be like, all right, send people out from here, you know. So I'm thinking more like what's it, Justice League Unlimited or whatever, like the cartoon, where it's like everybody was there and you just sent some people out on missions, whoever fit,
who was there.
I like it better now, because it sets the pace for later.
Yes,
where you don't have to read all these runs, you just read who you like, the team you like,
and who's interesting. So what's funny about Mutant Liberation Front is that like they're introduced as like these agents of strife, and they get jailed like in Executioner's Song like 5 issues before that like whole crossover event ends. They like get cooked by like Rogue, Storm, like Cannonball, a couple other X-Force teams, X-Men teams, excuse me, and like they just kind of get like trapped in jail or whatever, and then they just get put there for a little bit. They get broken out later, we'll talk about it, but like they kind of get wrapped up in a bow, and then the rest of the stuff with Strife and Cable plays out as like a solo 1v1 over like a couple of issues and things like that, which is like really interesting. But I'm glad they didn't get forgotten, because they get brought back quite a bit. The next time they come back,
I think the X-Men universe does a good job, if not bringing the team back, bringing the name back.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And that's exactly what we're doing here because, like,
in name only,
kind of. So there's always like one or two people that has been on the team before.
Yeah.
And like that list gets bigger, and so you have a broader people to pick as like the one person who's been on the MLF before.
Yeah.
But the next time they are brought together, it's Forearm, Tempo, Reaper, and Wildside, and then Moonstar. That's Danielle, and Locust. And the person who is running this whole thing is a guy named Rainfire. And that is X-Force. That's the 1991 run, number 26 by Fabian Nieza, Matt Brom. And that team there's some, obviously, Forearm, Tempo, but Danielle Moonstar at this point is on this team, but you don't know as a reader, but like as you go through it, she's undercover for S.H.I.E.L.D. So this is when she's working for S.H.I.E.L.D. This is post when she goes to Asgard, so she's come back. And she's like honestly undercover for like quite a long time. Funny though that there's like a bunch of suspicion that Rainfire is Sunspot. He kind of has similar powers, kind of has whatever. There's like a point where he gets like deprogrammed by Professor X, like to stop being Rainfire or whatever, because they like legit, he even thinks it was him. We find out later it is not him.
Okay.
That it is a person who was like dying, and they put some of Sunspot's DNA to like stabilize him.
Okay.
And he becomes a clone. I'm not here to tell you that.
So he's more of like a mutate.
Yes, I'm not here to tell you that the science is good here, folks. It's not.
Hey, I love Marvel science. Don't mind it.
Other fun fact about this kind of weird semi-mutate thing is that he also had like the power to like affect Sunspot, which is why he thought he was Rainfire. This is the messiest retcon. This is that's what this is.
So originally it appears that they wanted it to be
Sunspot,
but kind of backed out last minute.
I have no proof of this. I cannot guarantee it.
I mean, but honestly, I don't even want to go into interviews with people asking this kind of stuff. I'd rather because writers do their own sort of retconning of history of like what went on behind the scenes sometimes. Absolutely. So like sometimes I believe them, sometimes they're just like, yes, I was brilliant. There was actually, this is a bit of a sidestep. I saw this interview, or at least it's Kevin Smith telling a story about Clerks. And the whole movie's in black and white if you've never seen it. And the reason it's in black and white was more of a logistical one. They didn't have the money for the lights. And so they're just going to use the lights in the store they were filming in, but they give like a sickly green glow. So they're like, well, how can we fix this? They're like, well, if we film in black and white, it'll look fine. He goes, done. But somebody one time after watching one of the early screenings were like, oh, it does evoke this idea of the security cameras in a convenience store. And he's like, yeah. And then he ended up parroting it. And it's like, it's not what he did. It's not absolutely what. So it's like one of the, but he admits it later that like, oh yeah, no, I totally parroted that one person once. Yeah. And just used it. And it was a logistical reason. It's the only reason. And it was striking. Like it
worked.
Yeah, it worked. I feel like comic book writers do that sometimes too, or they forget, or they just like meld their memories and whatever, because it's like 20, 30 years ago, you know?
Absolutely. And also, I'm sure that like they take creative liberties, even if they did know. Sometimes they're just like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. I'm gonna make it weirder.
Or like some people were writing in and like totally guessed it or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that was gonna be a twist, but now everyone's guessed the twist, and now I gotta twist the twist.
Yeah, I kind of hate that. I don't encourage people to do that.
No,
that just means you're doing your job as a writing.
You left
correctly.
the right clues there.
But I agree. See, end of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
but like,
exactly.
But yes, like it's to me the fact that like. Not only is he kind of like a patchwork clone where like he's like got the DNA put in him, but then he also had powers to make him think that he was actually Rainfire. Right. That's where I'm like, that seems suspicious. But in any case, and they're doing really similar stuff. So now with this second kind of introduction of the MLF, it really solidifies them as effectively the terrorist group.
Yeah.
That isn't Mystique. Because like there's more than one. Like, right? And
the problem with Mystique is she's got her own agenda.
Yes.
She can run a terrorist organization, but it's running her agenda.
Yeah.
Not it's no larger organization.
Yeah, like I will say that like she honestly would still be okay to run the MLF because it seems like their leaders constantly do have alternative agendas rather than just like the mutant supremacy angle.
Sure.
But like, I mean, that's just because it's a comic book and you gotta have something.
Sure.
You got the plot's gotta go somewhere. But during this period of time too, while Rainfire is running the MLF, they also introduce like alternative groups in other countries, which I think is really interesting. So there's this group, it says it's based in China, and they mention a city once in the comic. They mention Beijing, so I assume this is just mainland. But the mutant group is called Three Peace, like Peace, and they're kind of like the Chinese equivalent of the MLF. And then they also have China Force, which is obviously like a parody of like Freedom Force, not even a parody, a secondary thing. And like, again, the MLF is like bad, they're terrorists, but especially when they introduce like these other countries, like and talking about China Force and Freedom Force, like they are all trying to do the same thing globally, which is count, contain, control, suppress the mutant population within the country's borders. And I think that this group, and by like introducing them and like connecting them globally to like other similar groups across the world, kind of, it doesn't make you sympathetic. They're definitely bad guys, but you kind of see why they were created, right? Like you get so much X-Men and you get so much Xavier that this like other group, the MLF, kind of like constantly popping up when the pressure gets really hot on mutants, I think is like really interesting in a way to like convince people that like, hey, sometimes, you know, Xavier and the X-Men aren't really everywhere at once and they're not doing enough, and like people, the other mutants are getting frustrated, and the MLF is like one expression of it. There are so many other examples of it, but I've got one more and I promise I will be done. There is, pulling back around to government manipulation of mutants, there is an MLF that actually does fall under that category.
Okay.
And I think you've read it, maybe.
Is it the Fall of X one?
It is, with Captain Krakoa.
Captain Krakoa.
With Captain Krakoa, who is an alternate universe, spoiler, I guess, Steve Rogers.
Well, they made you think it might have been Cyclops.
They did. They really wanted you to think it was Cyclops.
Because his helmet looked Cyclops-ish.
Really similar. Yeah. It's not, though.
It's not. It's that Hydra Captain America from another timeline.
Yes, it is. And it should have been obvious he was a bad guy.
Well, but they were using it as a terrorist organization to decredit mutants.
Exactly. They're kind of doing the opposite. Yes.
Nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're working with Fenris, but also Wildside is there, and Blob. But the Blob thinks it is Cyclops for a while.
Yeah, and they got this point, Blob is a sympathetic character because like during Krakoa, he's the bartender at the like big bar on Krakoa, and that's where he's been the whole time. He's a sweetie pie during Krakoa.
He is. He's beloved.
He is so beloved because everyone comes to him and he gets to chat with everyone, and it's just he was living his best life in Krakoa,
and they ruined it. They took it away.
And they did ruin it. Yeah. So I don't blame him for thinking he's following Cyclops and and being led astray.
Yes, and so I will say that like he was led pretty far astray, and it's pretty heartbreaking. Because you, like you said, you like Blob at that point, and then all of this kind of goes to hell.
I know I've said it before. I'm gonna say it again. Krakoa was great for like liking some of the villains as people.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a bummer now because I know half of them are gonna get back into their old habits.
Yes, I mean we're always constantly returning to the status quo.
And I will say, I love that Juggernaut's still on the X-Men right now.
Yeah, enjoy
that. And that makes me happy. I know. You know it's not going to last long, but him and Magic have a great relationship right now.
It's so good.
And I love it.
I do think that might be somebody. The problem is that just like my love for like certain X characters that get like destroyed by editorial because they don't like the same things I do and I think that they're wrong.
Right.
That's gonna happen because I feel like somebody's gonna be like, Juggernaut should be a bad guy, and they're gonna ruin it and it's gonna be gone, and I'm gonna be really upset when it happens.
Right. Yeah, I know it's gonna happen. Like most bad guys, if they turn good, eventually turn bad again.
Yeah. Can we think of anyone who stayed good?
I mean, Emma Frost.
For now.
I don't know. She's been good for quite some time. Every time you think she goes bad, it turns out she's playing them. But
I guess that is. I
think Magneto. Now we're back into
That's
an era where
true.
now Magneto, I think, is just legitimately a good guy.
Yeah. I do wonder. I guess Magneto
Rogue.
is. Yeah.
Technically.
So look at this. Juggernaut might be the next one.
I'm hoping Juggernaut stays. That's all I'm saying. But you got to give us some time to see if they allow it. Because everyone forgets Rogue was a bad guy.
That's true. And now I do think that how long they're a bad guy does affect what the likelihood is.
Absolutely. Rogue wasn't a bad guy for very long.
No, not at all. And Magneto, you
Emma
could kind
Frost
of argue.
was, though. Emma Frost was for quite some time. And Magneto, they kept going back and forth.
Yeah, he's always been a flip-flopper.
Yeah. But I think he's flopped back to the X-Men, and I think he's going to stay there. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I suspect that some sort of tragic incident will happen and he will lose it.
And we'll talk about the next time one of these movies gives him a tragic accident, because guess what? It's going to happen.
It is.
Like 3 more times.
100%. All right. Well, I'm Stasia.
I'm Producer James.
And we'll see you for the next 10.